Hi guys, welcome to today's webinar. So as you can see on the screen, it'll be based around how you can use technology to reopen safely on the 4th of July, or if you're in Leicester, like me, the 18th of July, which truly isn't ideal for us, but everyone else can carry on and get ready to open. My name's Lorna. I work for Access Collins as part of Access Hospitality, and I speak to clients and show them Access Collins and the benefits it can have to their venues. So as we go through the slides, you're going to learn a bit about Access Collins, how it can benefit you. Feel free to put any comments in and questions, and we can go through those at the end if we have some time. This will also be recorded, so it will be sent out to you afterwards too, so you can rewatch it back as well. Now, some of you may have joined my last webinar for the social distancing, so welcome back. If this is your first time listening to me, then welcome too. I hope you do find some of this content helpful. Now, some of the content within this webinar will be a little bit similar to the last one, just because it will be social distancing, but with a bigger focus on Access Collins itself, with some sneak peeks into the system and general advice on reopening as well. You might be thinking, who is this webinar aimed at? Now, Collins is an extremely flexible system. We work with over 6,000 venues across the UK, whether these are restaurants, bars, hotels, caterers, all these different types of venue that or business that can make use out of bookings and pre-book business, we can work with. So yeah, welcome. It's important to remember as well that we will get through these times and also get back to some form of normality. So it has never been more important to have the right technology in place, not only to carry you through inviting customers back in during COVID-19, but also into the future when you can start taking larger bookings once more. So as we go through the slides, you will see a big focus on social distancing, but also a lot of it will be relevant as you come out of it and you start taking larger bookings again. So just move into the next slide then. So now we finally have some clarity on reopening. The hospitality industry, it means that that's really exciting for everyone. Personally, I cannot wait to eat some food that I haven't cooked or burnt and drink some wine that I haven't poured myself. So it's kind of exciting for everyone involved, whether it's you guys as the venues or the consumer. However, as we know, each and every venue will need to adhere to the guidelines set by the government if they're going to be able to reopen and start trading again. And Access Hospitality and Access Collins are here and ready to support you where we can. So obviously, as you know, the four main points are that you need to maintain a 1 metre plus distance between all the guests, ensure table service indoors, take contact details for all party members for track and trace, and also obviously adhere to the new health and safety standards. So if we move on to the next slide, we can jump into it then. So first things first, we need to make sure that everyone knows that you're open and ready for business, because obviously, unfortunately, some venues won't be opening at all. Some people will leave it another week and you might just be raring to go. So it's inevitable that there will be a huge demand for your tables when you do reopen. For example, I'm sure some of you already have read about this, but in Germany, bookings were actually higher than what they were prior to COVID-19. And I just wouldn't be surprised if that is the case for the UK, because quite frankly, we love to eat and drink and generally have a great time. So this can be seen also by the influx of visitors to designmynight.com. The number of clicks that we had to our website increased by 3 times within an hour of Boris announcing the reopening of hospitality. So if that doesn't show you that the demand is there, then I don't know what will. So as a venue, you'll not only need to be ready for the influx by the use of technology, but also you want to have the edge over your competitors to let your customers know that you are open for business and ready to see them again. So for those of you that aren't aware of designmynight.com, we're basically a marketing and exposure platform that allows clients who use Access Collins for their bookings software to take advantage of the exposure through the website via a listing on the website. As you can just see, there's a couple of pictures there. So that being said, one way for you to let your customers know that you're open is basically by ramping up your marketing. I'm sure a lot of you are already doing that. So whether this be an internal effort via social media or a more external approach by third parties such as designmynight.com and or our partners such as Google, Time Out and TripAdvisor. So on Design My Night, we have also actually launched a traffic light system which shows on your venue page, should you make use of Collins Bookings and designmynight.com. So you can see just on these little logos here in the venue pages, some of them are now open, one of them is completely closed, and one of them has delivery and collection. So basically that lets your customers know that what you're offering, whether you're dining in, whether you're not open yet but you're doing takeaway or both. So again, it's just getting the word out there and kind of ramping up that marketing for the venues. Of course, these pictures aren't reflective of the current status, but it just gives you a nice idea of what it would look like on the venue page. And ultimately, guest experience starts at the point of inspiration. So make sure that they feel confident in your ability to deliver. The more confident they feel, the more likely they are to visit your venue, rather than your competitors that already have these things in place. So that's just another thing to think about, is ensuring that your customers feel that you can deliver and be there for them in a health and safety perspective. So if we then move into another slide, still on inspiration, because it's still really important. So as I mentioned before, the first thing you may want to do is let your customers know that you're out there, and that there are a few ways that you can do this. So the first way you can do this is get a listing. So I don't know if you guys were aware of this, but did you know that you can have listings on our competitor consumer sites without using their booking platform? This is actually a great way to ensure that users of that consumer site are being exposed to your venue without you having to compromise on functionality within your booking system on site. So, I mean, don't be afraid to consider moving over to a more flexible system like Access Collins due to the exposure you get from your current provider's consumer site, because actually the flexibility of a widget and the booking process is actually going to drive more bookings anyway. So you won't actually lose much in terms of exposure once you move over to designmynight.com, Collins, and also still using the consumer's part of your current system. So don't let that put you off. You also need to drive awareness for your venues. So for example, as a company, we work as Design My Night, we work with some fab third parties that you can gain full advantage of while still keeping all bookings from those in one place. Alternatively, if you have your own third-party affiliates, then you may want to get in touch with them and ensure your affiliation is up to date and ready for reopening. So that's another point there. You can also market to your current customer database from prior to lockdown, because at the end of the day, they're in your database for a reason. They've come to you regularly, they've come to you before, so they may actually be sitting and waiting for an email to say that bookings are now open, and the clarity around the health and safety of the venue as well. And so being able to get into your customer database and send out your own internal marketing is really important as well. And also, lastly, you may want to consider ticketed events for launch night and beyond to keep on top of numbers and adhere to social distancing requirements. So there's a couple of ways that you can make sure you're ready and people are aware of what's going on and when you're going to be opening. So moving into kind of the social distancing side of things. So in terms of walk-ins, we kind of need to try and avoid walk-ins as much as possible, you know, whether these be off the street or guests staying in your hotel just coming down to eat. It's really important to make sure we maximise your pre-booked business just due to the safety of it. So in order to do this, you will need to have a system in place to allow you to have the flexibilities necessary to make life easier for your customers whilst adhering to all the rules. So basically, gone are the days where you will be able to get away with paper diaries or a basic booking system that only allows you to do simple things, especially now that you need to track and trace each guest. You need to have that in place with a flexible system. So these small functionalities you may have skimmed over before are now more important than ever. So, for example, you may have actually compromised on functionality over price, whereas now you're willing to think about the flexibility and functionalities and then think about price kind of more secondary. So, for example, being able to book certain timeframes in advance, add time buffers between each booking so there's no unnecessary path crossing. Also, only allowing a certain number of guests per time slot. You need to be able to easily close off tables and ultimately track and trace each guest, because that is one of the major guidelines. So all of this should encourage pre-book business, which is ultimately the best way forward. However, if there are customers that do decide to walk in, then you'll need to have something in place to look after these customers safely. So you will definitely have walk-ins. People won't change their ways sometimes. So for example, if you have live weight, Access Collins has a live weight system that's directly integrated into your diary. So that means that you can add people in with real-time waiting times as well into your table plan. But we'll go into that a bit later on. You'll also benefit from simple functionalities on property, such as who's there already, heads in and out, visibility of sitting status, being able to shut off tables. So basically, it's important for you to be able to take pre-book business, but also deal with walk-ins as well safely. It's also important for you as venues to be able to have the flexibility to choose whether you want to take auto-confirmed bookings or all inquiries. And so if you do decide that inquiries are more effective for your venue than auto-confirmed bookings, Access Collins will allow you to look at inquiries day to day to help you with operational decisions such as whether to open on that day or not, basically to help you with cash flow in terms of staffing and things like that. So kind of basically you need a system that can do both. So this in turn would lead to a better customer experience or customer journey because actually you'd rather reject an inquiry than cancel a full booking. So customer expectations can be managed in booking policies. Use of tools like Collins can help you do that, and you can easily change settings from one day to the next. So ultimately, from this slide, what the learnings I would have you take from this is you need to have a flexible enough system in place for you to be able to choose whether you take auto-confirmed bookings or take inquiries, or take a bit of both. So moving to the next slide then. So overall, you need the right booking tool, which is what I'm going to keep going on and on about, but it's so important. So the right booking tool will make booking experience quick and easy, whatever the channel, whether it's Google Reserve, social channels, the widget on your website. Also, the right booking tool will allow you to know exactly how many people are on site at any point. Again, very important. It will also direct guests to other venues across your estate when one site is full. So if you are watching this and you do have a multiple venue group that are kind of walking distance from each other, then why not cross-sell the venues if one of your other venues is full? Because you don't want that customer to go elsewhere when they could just go to the same brand just down the road. And also, the right tool will make it easy and quick for guests to book via a widget, which we're going to go into a bit more. So here is an example of an Access Collins widget. So this is your first sneak peek of what it looks like to be using Access Collins. So this will give you an idea of how easy it can be for a customer to book and or inquire, depending on your choice of process. So a couple of the main advantages of the Collins widget are: one, it's completely customizable, so you can fit it in with your branding. This widget can also sit on your Facebook page too, so no more will you have to be replying to Facebook messages. So you can see actually on this example, other than it says powered by Design My Night, which is optional, you wouldn't know that this is outsourced. So that's one main part. It also has customizable booking types depending on what your venue has to offer. So i.e. inside dining, outside dining, or later down the line, Christmas, Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, all those different options you have. So you can see this example at the Oyster Shed, they have all these different booking inquiry types here. Now that ultimately is going to drive more bookings, but also is going to help you guys out with the flexibility of what you're booking for. There's gone are the days where you have to stick to breakfast, lunch, dinner. With this, you can have anything. Also, the Collins widget can differentiate between small auto-confirm bookings and inquiries. So it means that if you want to take all auto-confirm bookings, it can do that. Or if you want to take inquiries, it can take that. Or ultimately, you can limit numbers completely for socially distanced bookings and only allow bookings of up to 6, for example. So again, the flexibility is there that you won't have elsewhere. The until button, which you can just see here as well, allows you to either communicate with the customer about their allocated time slot for the table. So a lot of venues are saying, well, an hour and a half, that's the table, and keeping it that way. Or if you want a more flexible approach, you can allow your customer to choose how long they will be in the venue, therefore turning the tables much more efficiently, given that you've provided the minimum time and the maximum time as well. And lastly, and probably really most importantly, is that this is mobile friendly. So that means that your customers can book directly from their mobile phones. Again, it's just making life easier. A lot of clientele will just Google you, go onto your website and book. So it's going to just boost your bookings. So actually, at the end of the day, then the risk of not using a system that caters to all kinds of bookings, small or large, is that the inquiry will land in an email folder, which could then be 2 or 3 hour delay in reply. But in the meantime, you might have lost that business to one of your competitors. So that's important. Also, having a widget can allow you to give customers an immediate response, whether this be "thank you for your booking, we will see you soon," or "thank you for your inquiry, we'll get back in touch with you." That response is instant. So it just means that the inquiry, it feels important to that customer and that you're on the case, and therefore they feel like they're in safe hands. So I know I did go on and on a bit about that widget, but this is one of the most important parts, because this is where the customer journey starts and this is where you're going to drive your bookings from initially. So moving into the next slide then, I also wanted to touch on taking deposits. Now, you can also take deposits straight from the widget during the booking, because at the minute, deposit taking has never been more important, because you will inevitably be working at limited capacity due to the restrictions and 1 metre plus rules. So therefore, for the best interest of your venues, you need to ensure that these customers actually turn up for their booking. This is especially the case as you will have more pre-booked business than walk-in business now. So it may be more difficult to fill a table if nobody turns up for that booking. Also, just while we're on the topic of no-shows, Collins does also have what we call the no-show buster tool, and this will essentially send text messages out to all of your bookings for that day, giving them the chance to either double confirm their booking or cancel it, allowing you to make the necessary arrangements for it. So, for example, you'd be able to then fill the slot with another booking so as not to stem cash flow further, that sort of thing. So that's also another added bonus of using Access Collins. Moving into then capturing guests' details for track and trace. Now, this is a really all-important part of the booking process now, given the guidelines, and it is basically to ensure that you are fully compliant and being able to track and trace all customers coming into the venue. So, for example, at the booking, the lead booker will be asked to enter all guest details. This will avoid any queue or any potential social distancing challenges at the point of arrival. Also, on arrival, your host can add all details directly into Access Collins. And lastly, if adding guests to live wait queue, you can also capture the guests' details at the same time as well. So all over Collins, whether you're doing live wait, whether you're taking a booking or a walk-in, it means that you can track and trace every single person coming into your venue, which is fab. And this is just here is what a simple example of what your customers will fill out on the widget when booking, so that they can add all the details necessary for the track and trace scheme. So this widget will ensure that you can get everybody's names and details as per government guidelines for this specific booking. So you can see they can put their first name, last name, email address and phone number in before they can confirm their booking. And also we can see here that it is to support the NHS, so people will be happy to do that if they want to book with you. Okay, I also wanted to touch on pre-ordering. So some venues are looking at the pre-order options, but typically prior to COVID, venues were using this tool for their larger parties. However, a lot of our current clients are now starting to take pre-orders at the point of booking. Now, I know that this may not be possible for some of you due to the type of menus you serve, but if you are working on a reduced menu or generally have a smaller menu, then this could be a great shout for you. It means that you can have instant cash flow for the bookings and also minimises the contact with servers because you already know what they're having and you can get the food to them really efficiently. Also, pre-order technology is proven to help upselling by 12% on average. So you can offer packages of drinks, of food, anything really that you offer, and that can increase average spend, which will go some way to minimising the effect of potentially having to reduce covers in the short term. So it's all thinking about what you can do now to recoup that revenue and make sure that you're not losing out. I mean, if you didn't want to take pre-orders automatically at the point of booking, you can also send out pre-orders via an inquiry. So this will work during COVID if you are using the inquiry model, but taking you forward out of COVID when you do have larger parties. So as you can see here, it's in 3 simple steps. So the first step would send the menu online with the allergen filters for the lead booker, which you'll see in the next slide. Number 2, the whole group can then make a meal selection and pay a deposit directly to you should you want a deposit on food. And thirdly, the booking is automatically updated with selections and deposits to remove from the bill on the night. So it really couldn't be more simple to do pre-orders. No more do you need to send out Excel documents for completion and things like that. It's just so easy. So as promised on the last slide, here is a sneak peek of the customer pre-order form from an inquiry. So here you can actually see if there's any kind of fixed price menus or any information, you can put that in there, and this is where the customer will just choose what they want. So they can just click plus and they'll add that menu in. They can see it on here, put their details in after they've seen the summary and place their order. It really couldn't be similar, couldn't be simpler even. So if we look at this quote from Fuller's, actually, they said that their card authentication and pre-order features were revolutionary for us, especially over Christmas, as it helped cut down admin time significantly, allowing us to focus on the most important thing, our customers. So now they talk about Christmas, but actually customers are so important now as well, given that they need to feel safe. So that's a bit of a sneak peek for you there. Also, I wanted to show you a little bit what the dietary requirements and the allergen tracking would look like. It's really important to mention that your customers can input their allergies, which will guide them to the menu items that are safe for them to eat. So this will appear on run sheets and kitchen sheets and you won't miss it. So this is all they'll need to do. They'll just tick what they're allergic to. That will grey out anything that's got that allergen in, so they know exactly what to order. So it's really seamless, really quick, but you can also do this at the point of booking as well. So moving into the next slide then. So conversion. So, I mean, whilst everyone is trying to boost bookings and recoup revenue lost due to COVID-19, it is really important to remember that conversion rates are still key. You'll need to ensure that customers want to come to you and basically you make it as easy for them to do so. So as I mentioned at the start, inspiration is the first step in the customer's journey. From then onwards, it's important to ensure each process in the booking inquiry is simple and easy. The simpler the booking process means that the more likely the customer is going to actually come into the venue. It's really simple as that. So for example, I'm more likely personally to go to a venue that I can pay a deposit online for and book, but than when I have to call up and give details over the phone or I've got to email and it's just a bit of a faff. Nowadays, it's the instant gratification, isn't it? We just need to be able to book quickly. Also, the ease of booking will then naturally lead to higher conversion rates, which is what we're talking about on this slide. So it'll mean that you have more guests, which will then obviously mean that you're fuller throughout the week and not just in the typical busier trading periods, which obviously means that you are converting more bookings and filling up the tables that you do have available whilst you're working at limited capacity. Now, I mean, talking about admin, you can see on this slide here, we speak about reducing it. Now, everyone hates admin. No one likes it. I mean, well, some of you might, but each to your own. But I mean, I bet I would see a lot of hands if I asked you to put your hands up and say who doesn't like it. So now, more than ever, reducing admin is so important. Not only is there more things you need to focus on at the minute, but also because you most likely have a much smaller number of staff working in the venues now due to numerous reasons, especially with it being limited capacities and cash flow. And also, as I mentioned before, we have the no-show buster tool, which will also increase your conversion rates, because now you have limited space. You'll need to know whether people can actually come in and eat with you or drink with you, so as not to then cash flow further. So it means that you can ensure that you're refilling that table. So there's a few bits and bobs there on how you can make sure your conversion is key, because you don't want people who are inquiring to you going somewhere else at the end of the day, because you need that, you want their custom. Moving into the next slide then, I just wanted to give you another sneak peek into Collins, and this is the landing page for where you'll see any inquiries and those that are already in progress. So this is basically the starting point to converting your inquiries into a full booking. Now, of course, this is optional at this stage if you do want to keep everything automated, but come the time that you want to take larger parties again, this is where they'll land. And also, if you decide to do an inquiry only model at this stage, this is where they'll land as well, meaning that you'll be able to keep on top of everything. You can see here all the names, all the details, and a notification centre to make sure that you can keep on top of everything. Also, I just wanted to jump into the start of the inquiry itself, just so you can have a little kind of a little sneak peek into it. So you can actually see the customer's details, the booking details, everything's here, and also you can label the booking itself as well. So there is a lot more to the inquiry management. So of course, do let me know at the end of this if you want to see more. I'm more than happy to show you, but this is just kind of a little kind of insight into what it does look like. So enhancing on-site experience. So obviously when your customers are coming back in, they might be a bit anxious about it, they might be a bit wary, so you just want to make sure that their experience is top notch. So basically the way that you can do this is being able to work out the venue capacity to ensure that table layouts are updated, and basically consider limiting arrivals as well so people aren't bumping into each other. Also, you might want to consider closing different areas of the venue to manage walk-ins if you're still accepting those, or if you're still doing click and collect to ensure that those customers go somewhere else away from the people that are dining in. Also, at this point, I want to introduce to you Access Collins Live Wait. So what this is a virtual queue live link to your table management that I mentioned before, and it will provide an accurate up-to-the-minute automated wait time. So you can see here, last week we actually did a podcast with Tim Foster from Yummy Pub, so that's available as well for you to listen to. But basically, he said to us that the live wait feature in Access Collins will be key to how we reopen some of our bars next month. If we are full, having the option to add them to a virtual queue via Collins Live Wait is a brilliant way to manage the situation, as we can take their time, their name, and they can go for a walk and receive a notification when the table becomes free. Without this technology, I'm not sure how we'd manage the business in the challenging period ahead. So that's a really nice quote we've got from Yummy Pubs, and they use this across all their sites. So it really is important to make sure you know how to deal with those walk-ins. So there's a couple of ways that you can use Live Wait. So the first way is you can utilise this with walk-ins, or have a widget on your website where customers can add themselves virtually to the queue. So you don't have to use the whole of Live Wait, but it is good to have just the one within the system if you wanted to. Live Wait will also soon be integrated with Google, which will mean your customer can add themselves to your wait list from the Google search page, which I'll show you on the next slide. I've got a little video of that so you can see what that looks like. Also, maybe think about considering order and pay at table, which will also ultimately help reduce staff and guest interaction as well. The partner we have for Pay at Table requires no app, so guests can use their own phone to pay without touching, shared chip and PIN technology as well. So after taking all of these ideas into account, it may be time just to have a little look or reconsider looking at Access Collins to make sure that you have a flexible enough system to ensure that you can do all of these things seamlessly. So hopefully this is going to work for me. So if I just click play, perfect. So what we're going to show you now is the Google Live Wait. So here, what the customers will do for you is they'll Google your venue on their mobile phones, as you can see here. They will search, your venue will come up, and then they will click join waitlist here, to which that will bring up the current wait times compared to the party size that your customers want to come in with. They'll join the wait list, as simple as that, and then they're in line. And then afterwards, they can then remove themselves should they want to. So I just wanted to show you that because that's a really cool integration that we will have in the next couple of weeks. And sticking to the same enhancing on-site experience, so the first thing is to be able to support staff and reduce admin, which we've already mentioned. So all bookings and info can basically appear on tablets, so that's really important. But if you don't have tablets in the venue, you can obviously print off run sheets in a matter of seconds for the sitting in service as well. So there's multiple options. Also, not forgetting that if you have the right integrations with your booking system, then these bookings can automatically show on your tills too. I'm more than happy to talk to anyone after this as well about those integrations and who we integrate with in terms of EPOS systems. You also need to be able to add all details to customer profiles and also labels, which can be created for repeating customers as well. It is also more important than ever to remember that remember your customers for both positive and potentially negative reasons. So, for example, in a positive view, you know how to support them during this time by kind of rewarding them in the future, for example. So if they're regular, you might give them a discount. Alternatively, in a more negative view, they might be late, they might not show up, they might not adhere to the social distancing rules. So both of those ways, if you can label a customer as those things, it means that your staff know about them before they've even entered the venue, and ultimately can give them a better experience, or a better experience for the rest of the people in the venue. Also, in terms of notes and preferences for those customers, they can be accessed easily from anywhere across Collins for each customer and each booking. So that's really important too. And also you can print run sheets directly from Collins as well, which I'll show you in the next slide. So here, this is a couple of examples of run sheets. So the first run sheet here, this is just a simple one where you can see the times people are coming in, the name and what they're coming in and where they're sitting. You can actually tell here that I do like Friends, but who doesn't? So that's a simple one which you can download. You can also access these online as well if you have a tablet or a phone, if you want to look at those on there as well. And then we have a more in-depth run sheet here if you do want to be able to see labels and notes and things like that in one place. So you can actually see here labels, times, number of guests, mobile numbers, booking references, everything is here. But also it's important to note that not everything has to go on here, and you pick and choose which bits of information you want on there as well. So it's important to have all that information to hand and easily accessible. Also, I wanted to just show you a bit of the floor plan. So having an easily accessible floor plan will basically allow you to have a really seamless and great service for both the staff and the customers. So there's lots of different visual indicators on this floor plan which will allow you to do so. So the first one will be you can actually check your customers in and out. You can actually do this on the door as well if you wanted to with the track and trace option. And then also the colours will correspond on the floor plan itself as well, so you know exactly where that table's at in their sitting. So that you choose the colours, you choose the stages, but in this instance, green means they've just sat down and blue means that they're on dessert. So when you're in full swing of things, you will see here that these will all be colourful and you'll know exactly where everyone's at in their sitting as well. It's also very good on the floor plan to be able to look after walk-ins. So the thick orange line basically means there's an hour and a half of free space on that table. So you can click on that table and book a walk-in in. So having the flexibility and easily accessible floor plan and sitting stages is so important to ensure that the on-site experience is top-notch. So as we come to the end, one of the last things I wanted to go through was encouraging loyalty. Now, loyalty is obviously very important, it always has been, but right now you want to encourage your customers to keep coming back, given that you're wanting to kind of get trading and recoup some of that lost revenue. So data segmentation and using customer labeling can be a really good way to continue to communicate with the customers after each visit. Whether this be, you know, updates on regulation changes, menu changes, or just you've come in 10 times, here's 10% off. It's just being able to hone in on the right people that you want to hone in on within the customer database. Access Collins has an amazingly flexible customer database where you can filter down customers by certain things. So by labels, by the date they visited, by the booking type they came in for. So being able to make sure you're getting in touch with the right people about the right things will just increase customer engagement. You can also offer customers relevant and timely communications and offers to help drive more customer advocacy. So that's kind of the same thing as I just said, but a bit more general. And also, lastly, it's really easy to import data, of course, given that you're adhering to GDPR, from any other email systems to manage everything in one place. So again, if you're thinking about moving to a more flexible system like Collins, don't be afraid that you're going to lose those customers. As long as they have adhered to the GDPR and tick the relevant boxes, you can upload that into the system and not lose that. The same technology can be used to communicate with the growing database of new customers as well. So as you go forward with Collins, each registered customer in each booking will grow that customer database. So overall, the main thing that I wanted to get across to you during this webinar basically is that preparation is key. I know that we're getting very close to the opening date, but there is still time to prepare and be ready. So we want to help you to be proactive rather than reactive when it comes to opening your doors. We don't want you to get into a week of being open and you're struggling to track and trace, you're struggling to get bookings, or people just aren't coming, they're going elsewhere. We want you to be ready and help you where we can. It's so important that as an industry we adhere to the rules in place so that as many restaurants and bars and hotel F&B outlets, etc., can be opened pretty much as soon as the government gives the word, which obviously is the 4th, unless you're in Leicester, as I mentioned. Whilst not forgetting about the customer journey in the first place. There's lots of things you guys need to be thinking about, but having a decent system shouldn't be one of them. So at this moment in time, it really has never been more important to ensure that you have a booking tool that is going to give you the flexibility you need when reopening. So, for example, you need the tools to help you manage social distancing requirements and easy table management. You need to easily capture details for track and trace requirements. You need to help protect staff and guests by limiting interaction through pre-ordering and order and pay at table. So I hope that you've seen how those bullet points I've just been through kind of relate to Collins and how we can help you. And I'm really excited to be part of getting the industry back on its feet and talking to customers like yourselves about how Collins can help. And it's actually really satisfying to see the numbers of sign-ups for Collins kind of going up and up day by day and seeing how we're helping. So I'm just going to move into the next slide because that is pretty much all from me today. First of all, you can follow us on LinkedIn here by just scanning this on your phone. You can contact me, my email and phone numbers there whenever you need. You can also download a social distancing guide from this from here as well. I think there may be a few questions, so let me have a little look. Okay, so feel free to answer any questions while I try and get these ones out to you guys. Okay, so one question we have here is around track and trace, which obviously I'm sure a lot of you have questions on that. So this person has said, how can I see what dates and who have all been there? Is there a report? Okay, so basically what this question is asking is, when you do the track and trace, how can you see when they came in and who it was? So basically we have a whole wealth of reporting in the back office that you can make use of, that's easily accessible, and one of those will be within the customer database where you can actually filter down by a specific date and see who has come in. So that's easily done. One second. How long can I be up and running with this? Okay, so as you can imagine, we're very, very busy at the minute with training and new sign-ups. Our training is kind of on a lead time of about a week at the minute, but I wouldn't let that put you off because as soon as you sign up, if you want to, you will have access to your system. You can start putting settings in and working on the system. We have amazing videos and step-by-step guides on how you can do that, and there is also support from the team as well. So there isn't a definitive answer on how long it will take you to be live, but as long as you're willing to put the work in prior to opening your doors, it shouldn't be a long time at all. I think there might be another one. One second. I think that's all of them for now. If I have missed a question that you've put in, don't worry, I will be able to see them afterwards and we'll get in touch with you. So yeah, that is everything from me. Thank you for listening, and if there's any questions, get in touch with the Access group directly or get in touch with me personally. That's not a problem. Have a great day, guys. Thanks.